Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 5th, and right now we are looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. We got Washington, Oregon, where the green circle is. There's the Gulf of Alaska. We're going to be churning some systems out here that are going to be trying to make their way into the Pacific Northwest. As we go through the upcoming week, we'll take a look at that in some detail. We'll take a look at this ridge. If you notice, we've got some clockwise rotation here building up into the Pacific Northwest, trying to give us a little bit of break from precipitation totals here, but you can see it's not going to be much of a break here across some portions of northern Vancouver Island and western BC. And also, if you take a look to the east, you can see that low pressure center curling up across central Canada, and the frontal system we dealt with yesterday is now out across the Dakotas here. So let's play through that one more time. You can see I'm backing up, and you see that frontal system with the Doppler radar overlaid here on the mid-level water vapor loop. Check it out. Beautiful representation swooping across the area, and then you can kind of see that ridge building here up into the Pacific Northwest at the very end of that. Now, looking at precipitation totals, 4/10, 5/10 of an inch here around the Seattle area. You got almost a third of an inch here for Portland. Salem got some precip. Oregon coast, some of the Cascades here as well. A little bit locally higher amounts in some of the convergence zone activity here as well. And you can see the lesser amounts as you go east of the Cascades, but some fairly gusty winds out there were present as well. Now, taking a look here, Three Tree Point, I clicked on a random weather station here, and you can see that we got UV index just starting to pop off now as the sun rises across the Pacific Northwest. You can see the wind updates every few seconds. This station has a great smartphone app. You can view it anywhere you are. It stores this data for you in the cloud. It's got a lightning detection system. So if you want one of these, go ahead and click on that link down below to save 10% off. You can also see yesterday's rain right around a half an inch there. Now looking at SeaTac, 61 degrees, 65 is the average high for this time of year. Notice the high average as we go towards Halloween, 56. We drop off 10 degrees during the month of October, and we average almost 4 inches of rain, 42 hundredths of an inch of rain officially at SeaTac yesterday. Now, looking at Spokane, definitely quieter conditions here today and tomorrow, and the sun comes out. It still feels quite warm at this time of year. Highs near 70 for some locations and maybe upper 70s tomorrow on Sunday. Also, some dense fog advisories are out there for some of the Willamette Valley. It goes up towards Kelso, Woodland. You can see Battleground there also. So heads up, if you run into some of that, go ahead and slow down. You guys know the drill. And it goes all the way down to some of the southern Willamette Valley also. And just a heads up there, changes to cold and freeze products. You can see extreme cold watch, wind chill watch, and they're just kind of consolidating terms there, wind chill advisory, stuff like that. So check that out. And National Weather Service, Pendleton, Oregon, showing that one. And here we go. My buddy out there in Bonnie Lake lets me access this Nest camera, so I get to watch Mount Rainier and see if lenticular clouds are popping up. I don't know if that is, looks like a cap cloud on Mount Rainier right now. I have not played this through, but just kind of a shout out here to my buddy Trevor out here in Bonnie Lake. I always check his Nest camera. Thanks for the access to that. And looking at the European artificial intelligence, so what is to come here? You can see the ridging trying to build across the area, but as we go on in towards Sunday, the next system tries to make its way in here and bring some clouds and precipitation into the Pacific Northwest. Still getting some model disagreement on how much precipitation this next system will bring as we go through next week. And you kind of see the troughing continuing out here a little bit here. Then the Gulf of Alaska really gets churning here, at least according to the European, as we go towards next weekend. But you can also see the ridge building here. So we got this cat and mouse game. How many clouds are going to be getting over the region? What kind of precipitation totals? What kind of systems are going to be trying to swing through the area? All good questions. We're looking quite a ways out, 180 hours out, all the way towards next week. And so we're going to be breaking that down day by day. And this, of course, is going to have big impacts on comet viewing, which you might have a fairly visible comet in the night sky, but not if there's clouds around. And we're going to be watching that forecast closely here over the next few days. Now, taking a look at 6-hour precipitation type as of right now, let's see what kind of timing we're looking at. You can see, again, western BC and some Vancouver Island not getting much of a break as we go through Monday afternoon, shown here. We go through Tuesday morning. It starts across some of western Washington towards the Cascades. Pretty persistent light rainfall amounts there also. Then another system maybe at the end of the week, and then that Gulf of Alaska. The trough is going to be churning out there, and we'll see again what kind of precipitation amounts this is going to be throwing at us. So we're looking over 200 hours out right now, and then you can see additional systems on through the extended fantasy forecast there on the European model. Taking a look at 24-hour running precipitation total. So here we go. As we go on in through Tuesday, you can see some precipitation making to western Washington. Again, kind of been a common theme here over the last month or so, where western BC is just getting absolutely hammered in the lion's share of precipitation. system, and Western Washington getting the leftovers, and Oregon just getting skirted by some of these systems. And then you can see additional systems riding in here as we go through the following weekend. Still a lot of uncertainty on just what to expect as we go on in towards next weekend, but we'll be breaking it down daily. Now, taking a look at that uncertainty, you can see Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. This is the European ensemble members. Each one of these gray lines is one of the 50 ensemble members, and you can kind of see how they're all over the place as we get towards next weekend. The control run doesn't show much in the way of precipitation. The mean, of course, is the average of all those ensemble members, so it kind of splits the middle there. But you see some of these ensemble members actually have quite a bit more, and then there's always the case where some of them don't show much at all when you're looking that far out into the forecast. Portland, something similar here as well. Again, big uncertainty as to what is to come as we go through the end of the week coming up here. But if you look up towards Vancouver Island, Prince Rupert, here you can see much bigger amounts and much better agreement here between the control run and the ensemble mean, as those systems, pretty high confidence that there's going to be some above average precipitation totals up there across western BC, Vancouver Island. And just if you guys want to know, there's Prince Rupert, and you're looking at Ketchikan way up there, and there's Haida Gwaii, Vancouver Island, and Seattle's down here. Now, looking at the Pacific North American Oscillation. So when we're in positive here, we're in positive numbers. You can see that means that Gulf of Alaska troughing is churning. Then we drop down a little bit here as we go towards about October 9th and 10th. But then we continue to have that Gulf of Alaska troughing going as we go out towards mid-month. And on the flip side, when we go negative, that means the troughing is closer to the inland areas. And I'll show you that here right now. This is positive, that Gulf of Alaska troughing here. So you can see we're in that for the next week or so. And then there is the negative territory there on the Pacific North American Oscillation, in case you were wondering. Now, if we look at the North American model composite reflectivity, that's what the Doppler radar will look like here over the next 60 hours or so. We're going to swing through here. And as we get towards Monday, you notice that system impacting Vancouver Island, kind of northwest Washington, and then finally tries to bring some precipitation here as we go through Monday afternoon. So we'll be watching the timing on that one. And if we take a look at the GFS ensemble, you can kind of see how things are really scattered. And it's not very good model agreement with these systems rolling in here. The GFS bringing lesser amounts, and you can see that one coming at the end of the week here. But some of the ensembles don't show anything, and some of them have some pretty good precipitation makers in there. So, I mean, this just looks like a crapshoot right here. It looks like, you're drawing lottery balls or something. If we look at Long Beach or Tofino on Vancouver Island, of course, much better agreement, and at least that initial frontal system, and then you can see some pretty good amounts showing up there as well. And this is Tillamook, closer down, of course, on the Oregon coastline, about, a little bit further north than midway down the coastline, I guess. And you can see Oregon kind of getting the leftovers here of these systems, but there's always a chance we can start to bump up these amounts as we get closer to these events. And here's Mount Baker, North Cascades of Washington. Better chances here for some measurable precipitation. And this is looking at Seattle-Tacoma. This is that system coming in here as we go on in through maybe Monday night into Tuesday morning. You can see not looking at too big of precipitation amounts, but the ensembles are starting to group together and get some confidence in that system rolling through here as we go through, probably Tuesday morning or so. And Portland, again, kind of dealing with the leftovers, a tail end of these systems here, and not great there. A lot of these ensemble members don't show much precipitation. And if we look at Boise out there all the way through Thursday night, not looking at much precipitation as well. Now, if we look at the European artificial intelligence over the next 15 days, you can see how this above average, I mean, look at this. This is a precipitation anomaly, just absolutely hammering western BC. But again, that's a fine cutoff here, sharp precipitation gradient. And if this shifts south a little bit, that could really start to include Washington and portions of Oregon as well. So it's something we have to watch. And of course, this could also back off as we get closer. This goes out 15 days. This is the 16-day on the GFS, actually still showing that sharp precipitation gradient here over the next couple of weeks. But for the most part, the European and the GFS agree that the big precipitation amounts will be occurring to north of western Washington. Now, looking at the GFS, speaking of the GFS, let's take a look at that ridging trying to build here, but then we've got the system trying to swing by as we go through Tuesday. It doesn't look like much, but it's going to bring some clouds, maybe some precipitation. And you can see some weak systems continue to move through. But it also shows something what the European has been showing with the deep Gulf of Alaska troughing, Pacific North American positive oscillation here with the ridging over the west coast, cat and mouse game of whether or not we're going to get some clouds and some precipitation here. And this is the time where the comet's going to be starting to become visible in the night sky, but not, of course, if we are blanketed with clouds. So important forecast coming up there. We'll be watching that one to see if we can see that. And you can see, again, October 14th through 24th, western sky after sunset, C 2023. Now, we'll be looking at those forecasts as well, and you can kind of see how the European, it goes out 240 hours to some kind of a cloud forecast. So maybe we'll get lucky and get some breaks in the clouds there and be able to view that comet. 6 to 10 day, you can kind of see this below average across, Cascades East here. We'll take that with a grain of salt, and you can kind of see the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook as well. Above average conditions here as the ridging remains across a lot of the west and central portions of the USA. So anyway, otherwise, I hope you guys are having a good day out there. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.